Hello everyone and welcome to another video on Angular 8 shopping cart. And in today's video, we would be going for the add to wishlist functionality. So basically there will be a heart icon. You can also call it add to favorite. When you click on the heart icon, the product would be added to the wish list. And later on, if you want to, remove it from the wish list, you can just click on the icon again. So that is basically the functionality that we are going to achieve. So let's see what we have already and then let's get started. Let me open up our project. So here I would start the JSON server first. I would also start my project. Let me open it up in the editor. And also open the same thing in the terminal. Go for an ng serve basically. So let's see what we have code wise. We have a cart component.ts already made. We have a cart service.ts and all that we made in the last video. So whatever we have code wise is not that much important because the wish list is totally a different thing. So again, we have to go for the wish list communication with the API. So we would have to have an API, API there. So we'd have to go for the wish list communicating with an API, and we can first start by going for the wish list URL. Right now I don't have any URL to go for wish list, but we would like to go for something like base URL plus slash wishlist. Now again, just one thing, what we have done here for the whole shopping cart project up till now is we have not considered any user login or anything like that. So your cart is just something which is available to all the users and your wish list is available to all the users. All right, so it'll be the same cart and wish list that will be shown to all the users in here. A very good functionality in future to achieve would be to go for specific cart and specific wish list as per the user login. So as of now, we are going for the wishlist URL, and we would like to go for the wishlist service because of course we are going for database interaction. I'm not too keen on implementing the wishlist model because it will just be a set of product IDs, an array of product IDs, and a model at that point would not be much important. I think our project is compiled and all. Let's see what we have inside the project. Localhost 4200 should open the list of products. They should have the list of products in, and the cart is there. You can add a product to the cart, total would update, and that product would stay in the cart. That is where we are up till now. I want a heart icon displayed in the product item so that the user can click on it and the user can then toggle it basically. So in that case, what we would be doing is we'd be going for font awesome. So font awesome 5 CDN, we can take that and we would take in the CSS, copy the link tag, and I'll paste this link tag in the index.html head portion. So this is another way of going for taking in some CSS from some library. So we already did go for a bootstrap in the angular.json. So that is also another way, we can go for font awesome the same way. But this is just another way of going for, the CDN approach is also there. So now what we can do is if I go into the component shopping cart product item, in here I can go for something like this, icon FAS or FAR, that is for regular, FA art. If I do something like this, I think we should get a legit output. We do get a regular heart. We would would like to float it to right. So float right. So float right is a CSS bootstrap class, and FAR, they are like font awesome classes. They have their references available. I'd also like to make it in pinkish color. So let's see if I go to the CSS style.css and go for FA art. I can override the style for color to be pink, or maybe a bit darker. This pale violet red would be it. And if we check the output now, this seems good. We can also have the cursor to be pointer. Cursor pointer, so that we know that it is clickable. Right. And yeah, the FAS, like the solid heart, would be something like font awesome solid. And if we check out the output, this will be a solid heart. All right, so this is what we are trying to do, FAR and FAS. So this is the styling, and this is how it will look. And now let's go into the business logic of things. So first thing that we need to do is, in our JSON server, we should have a provision to accommodate the wish list. So in the JSON server, that is db.json file, what we can have is, right above the cart, I can go for something like wish list. Will be a blank array to start with. All right, and then we'll add more items to this particular array. Now, in order to interact with this wish list resource, so let me just restart the JSON server here, because I have modified the db.json file, so I'd have to restart. You see that you get a wish list resource available now, and the wish list resource would be something like localhost 3000 wishlist, and that is the URL that we set to start with in the config file, which is a blank array. So now we would like to go for a wishlist service. Interact with the API, go for a service. So let's go for ng generate service. Inside the services folder, wishlist. And then we'll come back to the component. So let me close everything up now, and let's focus only on the wishlist service. And in the wishlist service also, I'll go for map and pipe. Let's see where that comes into picture. So what I have here is, let's think about it. What we want is, we need to add an item to the wish list, and then we need to remove an item from the wish list. And at the same time, once the product list loads, we would also need to get all the items from the wish list. So that is the whole idea. So let's go for something like add to wish list, remove from wish list, and get wishlist. Now, I'm not going for the data types right now, so that this whole wishlist service really is implemented really simple, or understanding wise, it is really simple to understand. But what you can do is, you can implement the data types like observable and all, see how that works for you. Practically, it'll be no difference. This is just to demonstrate that you can have an option not to use any data type, which is always not a good idea. But for simplicity's sakes, we're not using any data type. So let's go with add to wishlist, and we would definitely like to have the API called. So we would like to have the API URL. So import wishlist URL from app src app config API. And we would like to also go for the HTTP client library as well. So import HTTP client from Angular common HTTP. And we'd like to do a dependency injection here. So private HTTP HTTP client. So before get wishlist, we would like to go for add and remove functionality. So we'll first go for add to wishlist functionality. And in this, I'd have a product ID passed in as an argument. And then I can return an observable like this .http.post because it's an add functionality. The API URL is wishlist URL, and the object that I want to add is ID to be product ID. So there is a reason why I'm going for this sort of a structure, because JSON server wants an ID to be there always, and that's why I'm going for this sort of a structure. But I mean, it is all dependent on what your server needs. As of now, we are limited to what JSON server can do, and that's why we are going for this. So return this .http. Remove from wishlist, right? So it is delete, and this would also have a product ID. All right, and we can go for deleting wishlist URL plus slash product ID. All right, so this will basically delete the item from the wishlist. So then we'd focus on get wishlist as well in some time, but these are the two things that we would like to do first. So now when these two things are done, we would like to go into the components and the shopping cart. And basically what we want to do here is, on click of this, the item should be added to wishlist. And again, if the user clicks on the heart, which would be a solid heart by then, the item should be removed from the wishlist, and the heart would be again a regular heart. That is the whole idea. So let's do that. Let's go into the product item component. Product item component.ts, and there'll be, like handle add to cart, there'll be two other functions like handle add to wishlist and handle remove from wishlist. So these two functions would be called on clicks of the heart icons. And we'd also need a wishlist service. So private wishlist service is wish, and when I hit enter, auto import would happen. You can see that wishlist service is imported, and the comma here. Right, so add to wishlist would be something like this dot wishlist service dot add to wishlist, and this would be like this dot product item dot ID, because we're passing a product ID to the add to wishlist function, and subscribe. So basically on success, we don't need to bother about like what we are getting back as far as success is concerned, but on success I want to turn the heart to a solid heart when the product is added to wishlist. So what I'll do is something like added to wishlist would be a boolean. For this item, it'll be false to start with. All right, and here I can do this like this dot added to wishlist, or yeah, added to wishlist is a good name, so we'll just keep it. So once this is done, we'll go for this to be true. All right, and we'll do the same thing with this dot wishlist service dot remove from wishlist, this dot product item dot ID. On subscribe, we'd go for this dot added to wishlist is equal to false. So basically now we have a flag to be true and false if the item is added to wishlist or not. All right, so that, and now let's see how that works for us to start with. In order to get this working, we would like to get some sort of a thing going on in here. So the thing is, if added to wishlist is true, if the item is added to wishlist, then I want to show a solid heart, and if the item is not added to wishlist, I want to show a regular heart. So to be something like this. I think you might have guessed it. that there is one directive that we can use, which is ng if added to wishlist. And if it is added to wishlist, if it is added to wishlist, I'd go for a solid heart. So FAS will be a solid heart. And if it is not added to wishlist, which means basically this, then we'd go for a regular heart. So let's see how it looks as far as the output is concerned. And you can see that nothing is added to wishlist. And also the wishlist is obviously empty. Now, in order to get this click working, we would like to go for the click events. Click. This is when the component, or this is when the product is added to wishlist. So we would like to go for handle remove from wishlist. And whenever the product is not added to wishlist, I'd go for handle add to wishlist. So basically, when the product is already added, we want to remove it, and when the product is not added, we would like to add it. So that is the whole idea. Let's see if I go for this. Okay, now you can see that there is a heart that is solid, which means that this particular product is added to the wish list now, and you can see ID3 is added. If I go for the Batman thing, and if I check out my wishlist server, you can see that ID4 is added. This one probably is 1. So if I check my wishlist server, 1 is added. And if I try to remove one of them, say for example this, you can see that it is now a normal regular heart, which means this should be removed. So 4 should be removed, I guess, or 5, whatever it was, 3. And if I go for 1, I think this should also be removed. Yep, 4 is left. So basically this is basically what it would look like. However, let me add a couple of them. There is one problem. So here we have 3 items added to the wish list. And I think you might have guessed what the problem would be. If I refresh, you would see that nothing happens. The thing is, similar to the cart item, we'd also like to load the wish list. And then we'd like to make a decision on how or whether to show the solid heart or to show the empty heart. Remember, the wish list is already populated on the server. All we have to do is get the wish list while the product list loads. Let's do that now. So in the product list, we'd like to call this get wishlist function from the services. Get wishlist function would go for returning this .hdp.get wishlist URL, and this would return us something like an array of objects having IDs. But what I would like to do is I would like to convert that to an array of IDs itself. So what I'll do is I'd again go for the pipe. This would also help you revise what pipe is, and map would get the result, and this result could be an array of any data type. All right, and what we would do is let product IDs is equal to a blank array, and I'll return the product IDs. So basically what I want to do here is I would like to convert the wish list, which looks like this, to an array containing 4, 1, 2. All right, and not this ID thing. That will help us to make quicker logical decisions. I would include this map from rxjs. So import map from rxjs operators, and result is an array, so which means result.forEach. We would have an item, and this item can be pushed. So product IDs dot push item dot ID. So at the end we get an array of product IDs only. All right, so now we go to the product list, in the ng on init, I would like to do this as well, like load products, and I'd like to take this inside the load products, and here it'll be this lot load products. And we'd also like to have a wishlist service here because we want to get the wishlist here as well. So private wishlist service is wishlist service. It gets auto imported. I like this feature, auto import from Visual Studio Code. Now you might also have argued that product item can have this wishlist service and we can get the wishlist in the product item. But remember, we don't want to keep on calling the wishlist service. So product list just calls the wishlist service once and that's it. So now, once the products are loaded, I'd also like to populate the wishlist. So wishlist could be any. Now I'm not going for data type in here. We know one thing though, that it is a number array. All right. So what we can do is load wishlist. Could be this dot wishlist service dot get wishlist dot subscribe, and this would give me the product IDs. And what we can do is this dot wishlist is equal to product IDs. So what this would mean is that the product IDs would have all the array, the whole array of the products. So let's just try a console log. Just make sure that everything is working. Console.log this dot product IDs. All right, just to check. And once we load the products, we can go for loading the wish list. Let me think, where do we put it? Once the products are loaded, then we go for wish list. That will be better. So I'd put it here. So this dot load wish list. Once the products are done loading, we'd load the wish list, which is also async. So I don't think it matters though. Loading the products, loading the wish list. Actually, it doesn't matter. We can put it in the ng on init itself, load product and load wish list, because both of them are async. Calling it inside subscribe would also not make any difference. All right. So basically we are loading products and we are loading wish list, but at the same time, we are doing a console log of product IDs inside the load wish list method. So before making anything or any changes in the UI, let's just check out the console and see what we get as data. You can see that we get an array of 3. And that array is 0th element is 4, first element is 1, second element is 2. Say for example, if I add this one, which is 5, all right. So you can see that if I refresh, you would have an ID 5. And if I refresh this would definitely not show anything on the UI, but it'd have 4, 1, 2, 5. So basically our pipe method, which is this, and the map method inside pipe, it is actually converting this whole array of objects into an array of numbers. So this is one way, like your server might be returning something, but your front end might be expecting something else. So the map and pipe combination really helps us to achieve that. All right, so now coming to the product list component.ts, we have a wish list, and what we want to send in to the product item is the whole wish list itself. I think we can, or what we can do is we can go for something like, well, in the product item, we already have one property, which is added to wish list, which is a Boolean. What I feel is we can send this property as well as an input. That will be really handy. Let's see, we can do this. Added to wish list would be equal to, what I want to check is, let's see, product list component. We have a wish list, which is an array. So wish list dot index of product dot ID. If this is greater than or equal to 0, then the product is in the wish list, which means added to wish list would be true. Else it will be false. So that is the index of method. Now let's go into the product item, because there requires to be some modification. We have added a custom property as an input, like the product item. So we'd have to add the input decorator here. And since the default value is already coming in from the parent, we don't need to do any default values in here. So I think that seems to be okay. That would work perfectly. And if we check out the output, there you go. You see here that your wish list is now populated. And if I get rid of this, it would be removed from the wish list. Let's see. You can see that the ID2 is deleted. And if I refresh, the changes would persist. Yep, there we go. Pretty cool, isn't it? Just testing a few scenarios. Now I would add one, the train, and then I would refresh. Yep. I would remove this and add this, and I would refresh. Yep, add to wish list, done. And we have 3 elements, I believe, in the wish list. Yep, we do have it. So more than the add to wish list functionality, what we came across is the pipe and map functions as far as subscribe is concerned, which are very useful in Angular. If you want to decouple your front end from the back end, pipe and map are something that would really be helpful. So there you go. Kanchan Gaikwad, one of my viewers, who suggested to implement this add to wishlist functionality. Due to Kanchan, we came across so many things in this particular product listing, like cart and API integration and so many other things. So thank you for that. And now I come back to you. Anyone who can review this, see this video, check it out, implement the functionality, and then let me know what else do you want. All right. So I would like all the viewers to suggest what things you want, and I would implement them in further videos. This is the whole motive of this particular video series to go with. All right, so let's call it a day, and take care. Bye-bye, and see you in the next video.